This is a bit of a fantastic wonderland here at Jupiter Artland anyway, but you've just made it even more fantastic, I think. Tell us about the inspiration for it.
I was inspired originally, I think, by the context and having the opportunity to decide where to put the work in Jupiter Artland, and had this idea for building in a forest, kind of like a Hansel and Gretel style experience where you enter a forest and then you kind of gradually follow paving stones until you find this candy coloured building. So the commission at Jupiter is attached to Orbit, which is a programme that they're running with young people, so young people kind of just in their last year of school. And originally they were kind of tasked with thinking about if they were to curate a show, where would it be and what kind of themes or issues are of interest or concern to them. And they all came back with this idea of the decline of the high street and growing up in towns and cities where shops were just kind of closed and boarded up. And I thought that was interesting because I grew up in the 90s and this kind of time where things were being built and opening, and there was this whole sense of like a kind of positivity, I guess the kind of like boom era of like consumer capitalism. And now kids and young people are growing up with this feeling that they're almost like coming into a world that's already in decline, or this world that I grew up with is now kind of closing and shutting off, and especially since COVID. So I thought that was an interesting thing to talk about in the work. First idea was this like the kind of decline of the high street or some kind of shop.
Sure.
And then I thought, a shop in a forest, and then you could connect it to a kind of Hansel and Gretel feeling. And the aesthetic of the work is kind of similar to a lot of my work, where immediately it feels quite saccharine, and it's a world that you recognise, I suppose, from like toys and Disney Princess and that sort of childish femininity. But then the closer you get, both literally and thematically, you realise that it's darker, and this building is literally kind of grubby and worn, and it's intended to feel like, to a certain extent, a ruin, or like it's been here for a while.
Did you build it from scratch?
Yes, well,
because
it
does look really old and really as if it's been here forever. So
Yeah.
you actually did build it from scratch?
Yes, from scratch. Yeah.
You yourself?
It was like a kind of prefab building, and then we added to it. So I worked with an architect, Thomas Wade Peacock, and we kind of came up with loads of different ideas. And yeah, it's almost like added onto an existing.
So this has really been a good lockdown project for you then, Rachel?
Yeah, it's been great. I've been so lucky, and yeah, it's really given me like time and focus on one project, which so often I think as an artist you get so little lead in time, like 3 months or 4 months is kind of average. So actually having like years to work on something is really incredible, and it means you can just kind of focus and build it so much more.
And when people visit Jupiter Artland, can they also see any of your other work, any of your other films?
Yeah, so I've got a few films showing that are older pieces. So the oldest one is The Lion and the Unicorn from 2012.
I think that's my favourite.
Is it? Oh, good.
Yes.
So that was kind of made in the run-up to the independence referendum in 2014. And Bite Your Face, which is the film I made to show in Venice at the Venice Biennale. And that's in a very grand ballroom. I think it's looking great. And a couple of shorter pieces as well.
Fantastic. Well done, Rachel. You've really given us something to look forward to seeing here at Jupiter Artland. Thank you.
Thank you.